Share a funny experience
you had after converting/reverting.
I had halal on the cover of it while I was cooking it, and then my brother walked in and he was like, oh, it's the halal meat.
I have cup of noodles, like shrimp cup of noodles. And then like, oh, just look at the ingredients. Like, why? It's shrimp cup. And then it's pork broth.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Us converts and reverts are here with Muslim to tell you a little bit about our experience. So make sure to subscribe, like, and keep watching.
How would you identify?
Convert or a revert?
That's an awesome question.
Identify as a convert.
I identify as a convert. However, I understand why some people identify as revert.
So I identify as a revert.
I feel like I identify more as a revert.
Honestly, I went by convert for the longest time.
Yeah, I identify as a revert.
I prefer convert, even though I know I am a revert because we were all born Muslim.
I personally identify as a revert instead of a convert. I think that I felt like I was coming back to my religion.
You know, as I got older, I felt like those choices that I made in my life weren't fulfilling. I felt like something was missing. And naturally, I just had a yearning. And for the first time in my life, I knew what the yearning was for. And it was specifically for prayer.
Oh, I really want to answer this one.
How has your journey been?
One of the hardest things for me to do is pronounce words in Arabic.
It has been a good journey. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to choose me to be on this journey and all of you. Every year I've seen an increase in faith.
My journey has had a lot of ups and downs, but that's what being Muslim is about. It's in those lows where sometimes I ask myself where I'm at in my journey that I learn the most.
It's not a walk in the park, but it also, there's no difficulty that we cannot handle along our journey.
I've always known a little bit about Islam, but it wasn't really something that I grew up around with, so I didn't know much. Just about a year ago, I started reading the Quran, and I read it from front to back. I just been gaining the knowledge. As of now, though, it's been easing well.
My journey has been a lot of ups and downs. I personally reverted when I was 12 years old. And so it's been a lot of journeys. I come from a Christian family. A lot of the opinions they had were that it was just a phase, that I didn't really know what Islam was. And they've already had their preconceptions about Islam. So it definitely was an uphill battle, but now it's been kind of more mellow since I've been able to connect with other Muslims and find my own identity within Islam.
My journey's been a long, crazy journey from fasting Ramadan by myself, trying to hide praying. I didn't want people to see me praying because my dad kept saying not to be a Muslim at first. And then he kept bringing the Quran to me and saying like, oh, you see this part right here, this is bad right here. So I'll have to gain more knowledge, go on YouTube, research stuff so I can come back to him and be like, oh, that's not bad. You know, this is actually good.
What are misconceptions
about convert/revert?
I think it's very demotivating when you are starting to go closer to your faith and then you have people telling you that, you know, you're not a perfect Muslim, you've done this, that.
In the Muslim community, the misconceptions about converts is that we don't know a lot or that we're uneducated. We have a lot of learning to do.
They assume that we don't know anything, which, hey, it's like true for recent reverts. Like, you know, they need to learn. Like, they don't know everything, but like, we all don't know everything. You don't know everything. Like, we're all learning. There's no end in Islam. Like, we're always learning more. And it's because there is always something more to learn.
People think that reverts are just trying to speak out and be different than everyone else around them, especially in America.
5 years ago, I co-founded an organization called Embrace, specifically for this reason, because oftentimes we are seen as the stepchildren or people that have no education or just people that have a lot of baggage. And so that's a huge misconception.
Did your life change after converting? My life changed so much.
After I was taking the steps towards being a better person, you know, cutting out bad habits, cutting out toxic people, I still felt like, you know, something was missing. But after I reverted to Islam and went closer to my faith, I just had this feeling of fulfillment.
In general, just being more aware of my surroundings, the people I surround myself with, just important things for me, a lot more important than they were before.
I feel like before Islam, I was more of a selfish person. I was really selfish. Like if it didn't have anything to do with me, it was like, why do I care? But once I converted to Islam, it gave me like a straight path.
I think Islam brought a lot of, I would say, restriction to my life. I know a lot of people believe that religion shouldn't be restrictive, but I do think it does. I think as humans, we are inclined to kind of just do as we want, be selfish beings. I think Islam, for me, allowed myself to think about my creator instead of just myself all the time.
Right after I converted, my life didn't change a lot. It was little things over time that, looking back, I can say, oh, I changed over the course of a year or two, but it wasn't an immediate change.
It's not exactly the same, but it's not like totally different. I have to like be cognizant of my creator and like submit to him every day. But that's a good thing because we need it. It helps me be a better person.
I just became more disciplined. I became more like clear-headed, motivated. I feel like after I converted, not much has changed because I'm like, okay, like this is something that I'm already kind of disciplined about. I'm like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I stay away from the bad crowds. Overall, I feel like the only thing that really changed is learning more about Islam and becoming more accustomed to praying.
So the first thing that happened to me after not wanting to wear the hijab and opting to wear the hijab, I got fired. And so it was a very scary moment for me, having a baby and didn't know how I was going to survive because I wanted to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on one hand, but I also had to put food on the table. And so the minute I decided to obey my creator by wearing the hijab, the barakah, the blessings just kept coming. And I was without work for 2 years. I couldn't find a job with a hijab, but my rent was paid. There was food on the table and I was taking tons of classes. So is it possible? Yes. If your intention is there and you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has your back, He will never leave you alone.
What was your biggest challenge
In your journey?
getting used to praying 5 times a day?
Well, one, I would say the loneliness, definitely. Because it's kind of hard when you look around your family, you look around your friends, everything that's going on in the world, what's popular, what's not popular. Sometimes Islam does not seem popular.
I think the biggest challenge has just been living in a society in an area where people just aren't very religious anymore. It almost feels like people are not just secular, but like things are moving towards like an atheist mindset or an atheist perspective. By default. People are more ignorant. People don't value prayer. People don't value certain righteous deeds.
Taking bits of wisdom from other people and leaving some behind. And that's just because I needed to meet myself where I was at, rather than meeting people at their expectations of where they think I should be at.
I think a lot of people have different views. There's a lot of different videos out there. There's a lot of people who say what they want about Islam. There's a lot of falsehood. I think it's a big wave of just trying to figure out the truth, your truth.
I guess you can say releasing this obsession I had over why things were happening. I guess there was a lot of ego and arrogance that kind of came with that. I'm the type of person who I just need answers. I need to know why in order to understand something. And the thing about Islam is you are essentially surrendering to the idea that something is bigger than you. There's an idea that you won't have the answers to everything, and that's kind of the whole point. How are you supposed to understand something that is bigger than you? And I think that was really tough. I kind of had to let go of my arrogance and my ego to essentially just accept what was in front of me and take it as it is.
It's an ongoing challenge. My parents are Christian, so I actually haven't really told them. I've been meaning to tell them. I want to tell them. My only fear is what would they say? I'm still trying to build up the courage to do it one day. I definitely want to do it soon. I have to, I feel like. And that's probably the biggest challenge right now.
How can the community
Support converts/revert.
You need to be very patient. I can't stress that enough. Everybody comes from different walks of life, period.
like people should be more lenient, more calm? Just because somebody walks in the mosque with a hat on backwards, or they got some tattoos on, you don't need to just look at them like they're a disgrace. Make them feel wanted and comfortable to continue to make that progress instead of just shutting them out right away.
I believe the community can support reverts by allowing them to have a bigger space. I believe that a lot of people do not consider revert in their lectures, in their decision making. I think a lot of people think of a lot of Muslims as just born Muslims, that everyone is just kind of all the same, but a lot of reverts have different, very, very different experiences, and I think that they should all be counted for.
And so that's why it's imperative for you to first and foremost give salams and a smile. We don't even get our basic rights at the masjid. So this is the first thing you need to do, because coming from the outside in, when you go to church, you're greeted. There's actually an usher and somebody's hosting you and walks you in if you're new in the community. That doesn't happen at our masjids, and it's very, very disappointing. So we need to get our act together and get to know one another, for one.
One way that I think the community can support converts and reverts is tailoring programs for them, appropriate for their age group. So if a convert wants to learn Quran, they're not just grouped in with the kids.
Being open-minded and accepting.
We just have to make converts, reverts feel more welcome and included in the spaces. It was tough for me to start going to events beyond just Jummah. Maybe when we announce these events, like, hey, reverts are welcome, like, you know, or if you know of a revert in your masjid, like talk to them, like bring them in specifically with purpose.
What advice would I
To
give
someone who just embraced Islam.
Don't put yourself down.
Take it easy. Take it easy. Just take it easy.
Take it little by little. Don't let people force things onto you. And that's probably the biggest thing I would say. Don't be afraid to learn more.
I think it's all up to you and what you choose to do.
Meet yourself where you're at and stay true to yourself.
Be nice and respectful, because most likely that's the best way that they're going to understand what you're saying.
Share a funny experience.
Had after converting/reverting.
Okay, so I started trying to make more like halal meat and stuff like that. So then I came home one day, I was like, I'll make some pasta, all right? I had halal on the cover of it while I was cooking it. And then my brother walked in and he was like, oh, it's the halal meat. And I was like,
I have cup of noodles, like shrimp cup of noodles. And then I'm eating it and then like someone tells me like, oh, you should look at the ingredients. I'm like, why? It's shrimp cup. And then it's pork broth. I'm like, why would you put pork in it? Like, it's an extra ingredient you don't even need. Like, stop.
Okay, so this happens to me all the time when I go to Mexico. They think I'm a nun. Normally, we call nuns madrecitas. I'll be in the subway and, you know, they'll open the door, they'll give me their seat or what have you, and they automatically think that I'm a nun. So that's pretty hilarious because, you know, then that gives me the opportunity to give them dawah and tell them a little bit about Islam.
And that was our video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because it really helps out our channel. And let us know what you learned in the comments below.